What are we talking about today?
I think we're going to take a little moment to talk about Loki, end of season 2. I guess it's the whole culmination of it, and give it a little bit of thoughts and I wanted to say prayers, but I guess it's just thoughts and opinions on what that whole series was like. I just finished the last episode tonight. You watched it yesterday. I just binge watched it over like the last week. Yeah. And you've got some thoughts, and I've got some thoughts on it. Can I just start off with the first one? Just a real quick thing off the bat. How you can have a sort of mind-bending, anytime you introduce time travel into a show, a concept, one, it's a bit of a cheat. You can be lazy with it. That's all I'll say. Doesn't mean you have to be, and doesn't mean they were. I'm just saying. But you also can't have like a year and a half between seasons, because I had no idea what was happening. Even when I watched the first episode, I had to watch the last episode of season 1 again, because I couldn't remember the last conversation that him and He Who Remains had from season 1. Spoiler alert. You've been warned.
Spoilers. All right, there's spoilers. We'll flash the spoilers. I'll just keep it
Anyway,
here.
that was just my first thing that I noticed starting season 2, because it's the most recent thing.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you have a season. You just have to have a break. That's why they have the recap.
That's why we don't do that anymore. It's called Netflix and binge watching, and I watched a season over.
But there was also the writer's strike.
Yeah, well, that's, kind of gay. Because if you ask me, I don't really care what your problems are on making a movie. Like, we talked about Zack Snyder and Batman, and he was having some problems while he was going through that. Not my problem. I want good entertainment. That's what I'm watching the movie for. Anyway, you got some questions for me on this. I think you've got a harder opinion than me. I mean, I'm not a Marvel fanboy like you. He's a Marvel fan.
I was like, I'm selective now because I definitely think Mickey Mouse and Disney of Marvel. I basically call it ABC Family wrapped in a Disney shell.
Yes.
So it's technically all the shows that come out have sound. There's a lot of it that's very like white Disney washed. I call it Disney washed for
white
sure.
Disney washed.
Did I say whitewash?
You said white Disney washed. Okay, all right. Anyway,
we're
gonna go there.
Marvel's hit or miss now for me. I think like a lot of it's like kind of lame. I like She-Hulk though. I like the She-Hulk series.
I don't have Disney Plus.
I like the Hawkeye series. I like I really like the Loki series. There was a couple characters I didn't like. I didn't like some of the hunters. Like,
yeah, but they're like B characters anyway. It didn't really matter.
The supporting cast was like, some of it was a little weak.
Some of it was meeting some quotas, meeting some PC quotas, so to speak.
Diversity quotas.
Diversity, yeah, that's the word.
I don't know.
Yeah, but what did you overall? I mean, I guess it's mostly about
Disney.
the story. I mean, this is the big thing. Yes, it's obviously had to be. I would say Loki, out of all of them, of what I've seen, that was Marvel's show, I was entertained by it for sure. However, it is an interesting departure from the traditional, like the whole episode, the whole way the episodes are created, the stylization of it, that 50s look.
Yeah, the look was
the fact that it was kind of like a buddy cop movie, like the show, between Owen Wilson and Tom British guy. I enjoyed that, and I did enjoy their their dynamic, even though it was kind of silly at times. Obviously, Owen Wilson just being Owen Wilson. I would like to. I've mentioned this to you before. I would like to see them do their own like spin-off, just like another show about them being cops together.
Just like another movie.
Just another movie, not even Loki and Mobius. It should just be them having fun. But
yeah, they got a good dynamic.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting. But here's what I will say. I mean, overall, I didn't mind the very ending. Well, let's just cut straight to the chase. The very ending.
No, you can't say that.
No, I'm not saying anything about it. I'm just saying
from the beginning.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind it.
Well, let's start from the beginning. All right. So, what do you think about the Groundhog Day type? When he's like basically repeating the day and the centuries and the Groundhog Day homage. That was a tip to Groundhog Day.
Which I don't even remember it.
You don't know Groundhog Day with Bill
I know
Murray?
Groundhog Day, but I don't remember the. You can't ask
over?
me about the Earth. I don't even remember the first season. I know I liked it.
No, I'm just saying how this episode started with the Groundhog Day.
Oh, the last episode.
Yeah,
how it did.
We're talking about the season finale.
It's fine. It was. I don't know if it was an homage as much as it's like that's just what you can do. Again, it's kind of lazy. What I did notice is there was reused shots multiple times. You do that. There's long shots. That kind of annoys me sometimes because to me, I want to get to the chase. This is where I was going with this, is that the entire season 2, and this episode was no different until the very end. This entire season had here's this random problem, doesn't make sense, doesn't need to, that we need to fix, that I didn't care about. Like this this thing out in the thing that's the major
the
overall,
actual multiverse stuff.
not even the big thing that they're trying to fix that's going to explode. The whole crux,
like,
the
it basically
major
holds the timeline.
Yeah. I was not interested in. Didn't care. It was anytime they took their little offshoots and they had their little like storylines.
You like the side quest.
It's almost.
Yeah.
It was more interesting because that's what I thought was the show. And then it's like this big thing that kept coming back, and it's like the flux capacitor needs to go into the wigwam, and then things will. I'm like, just stop talking. I don't care about.
I think that's the problem Marvel's having right now. Is they're trying to tie in the big story, which is this multiverse story.
Yes.
And they're trying to integrate like the old X-Men and everything back and all the legacy characters, but they're using the multiverse. And I think the multiverse overall arc, which is like the huge thing, it's like kind of messing up everything because they're like, oh, we got to integrate the multiverse story. We got to integrate. But Loki actually he's the series for Loki actually cements
him in the whole thing.
Well, no, it actually sets up most of the multiverse stuff.
A lot of these have already been setting up the multiverse. Like,
that's
anytime
true. Like
Doctor Strange did it, and
did you watch that one?
Yeah, I like Doctor Strange. I didn't mind it.
Did
I didn't mind the first one. I didn't.
No, the multiverse one. Did you watch that?
I didn't watch the most recent one.
We should watch that.
Marvel is it's a lot. It's just a lot for me. It's just so much on the screen, so many colors. There's just so much. There's so much flying. I honestly, I really have a hard time with someone being punched. If they're punched, doesn't matter how strong they are. If that person can take a punch and they're thrown across a room, some internal damage has to happen. I just can't get past that in any universe. It doesn't matter if you're Superman or whatever. If you get hit hard enough to be thrown into the ground, there's just a problem for me. So it's hard to watch these sort of things on that level. And so I just kind of stopped. But I don't mind overall their general integration of that multiverse because that is part of the lore of Marvel's world. It does open up a lot of avenues for that. Comics have that ability for there to be new artists which can have their own vision, and you have that offshoot. That's why the multiverse created. Of course, that's why it's created, right? And it's like, DC never really did that, but they always let different artists have a go at Batman or whatever other, I don't even know what other comics they had, to be honest. I don't care. But here's the thing with multiverse. It will, and I said this to you earlier, it will allow for some very lazy or very weak-ended pieces because you can just do anything and it has no consequences. True. You can do anything with a character and there's zero consequences because it was just another random universe that nobody cares about. You can just blink and go
that's why they can kill somebody off and he's back the next episode.
Yeah,
because he was just a variant that was
just
killed.
A variant. Yeah. So how do you get any connection to this character? So this character you're watching for seasons, they're bringing an Iron Man back, or they're having another movie, and it's like, there you go. Okay, so he died, but we felt bad.
Did he die? Oh yeah, they have funeral.
He died, and then we feel, and then he didn't. Like they have such a hard time killing people. I think
they're bringing him back because they're hurting. Marvel's hurting.
They're not. It's just absolutely nonsense. Disney and Marvel are not hurting. Like, they're just not. They're just not. It doesn't matter what world they're in. They're trying to meet a quota for their shareholders. They're still fine. Several $100 billion is not hurting. But I see what you're saying. It's like they're probably bringing it back for a particular reason. But
everyone loved the old Avengers. They're bringing it back. That's what's happening.
They're just
they're bringing.
But they can see that's what's lame.
Like Scarlet,
Tony
like
Stark
Black
should
Widow's
die.
dead.
He died. He dead.
She's coming back. I think they're all coming back.
When someone dies, you need to allow them to die. And here's the thing that I think too many people in the sort of pop culture comic book world, because it's become very popular now. Like, we literally grew up with comics, reading them. We never in my world did I think that it was going to be a movie, TV show. It was just a comic book, right? And I grew up with I had these things. I actually preferred like Spawn and a little more heavy stuff, but they're now coming true. And I think these fanboys who are into whatever character, they're so hurt when they die. Like, I want to see a character die. I need there to be serious consequences for these characters. It's like they're just not dark enough. And to be honest, it's like Marvel, like you said, ABC Family brings it up. This has turned into like an entire overarching Marvel why I hate it. But Loki, again, to get back on track.
Let's get back
on track for Loki. It opened. I like the overall ending. I did like the overall ending. Season 2 to me wasn't as good as 1. There you go.
Season 1 was really good.
There's a bite for you.
What about
there.
When he what happens at the part where he
doesn't remember it either. It was so long ago. Season 1?
No, I'm talking about season 2. Like, literally the episode that we just watched was the finale. What do you think about the whole the villain, Victor, like he who remains, and Victor,
Never
time
put a character
time.
in a show or a movie who has a stutter. Rule 1. Never put a character who has a stutter. And I don't mean any
Why?
offense to people with stutters. It's hard to watch. I just didn't. Anytime he was on there when he was in his old timey fame, I didn't want to watch it. I was annoyed. I was like, just spit it out. And I know that's very not inclusive of me, but it was frustrating from an entertainment point of view. That's all I have to say about it. Other than that, I like the original one who was in the time space.
The
Real bad one who
yeah.
had the cape and was like cool and
Yeah.
was confident and like
Yeah, you
boom.
like his variant.
Yeah, I want that. I want that kind of bad guy. I don't want like.
He's supposed to be Kang, the main villain. So
See, I don't know enough about that.
Yeah, so he who
Marvel
remains is
universe.
basically this Kang guy, right? He's like he's lived forever. Like he was a bad guy in the Egyptian times. He was just a conqueror. His name is Kang the Conqueror. That's the main villain that's gonna happen. I think they're pivoting because that actor's in like he had some like issues with the law. So they're pivoting to apparently Doctor Doom for the main Avengers villain. Or Galactus, maybe one of those.
I mean, yeah, but it's
So
Galactus.
But you know, so like Kang he who remains is a variant of this Kang guy, right?
Okay,
So,
that kind of makes sense.
yeah, and then like I just
So you're saying the actor had problems in the real world?
Yeah.
Oh, that
so
sucks,
so
bro.
the Kang guy is supposedly like he's the villain that controls time. And so I think even like one of his variants is like ends up being Reed Richards' like uncle or some shit or some crazy shit. He's connected to the Fantastic Four, so that's why the Fantastic Four is coming, basically, right? It's all connected with. They're setting up like Phase 5 or whatever phase we're in. So basically, so that bad guy, he basically can jump from time to time, and he has a ton of variants, and he basically kills a bunch of people. He's like, he's basically what's the main villain in Infinity War? Thanos, right? Thanos. So he's supposedly like a better, smarter version of him, but he can time travel, and so that's why the whole multiverse exists because of this Kang. He who remains guy. His name's Kang. He's in Ant-Man. He's in the last Ant-Man. I just watched it because I was a little sick, and I finally watched because I thought Ant-Man 4 was really stupid. Whatever the
18. It's like so many.
The Kang whatever, but like it made sense now because like when they blow up and become spaghetti, it's like it's all over. It's there.
Where are you going with this? You're basically saying that they're trying to say more a part about setting
they're really
up a lot.
developing the villain,
Yes.
right? To be this big, strong, like dude, like complex villain. I think you have to give it to Marvel for developing their villains at least.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to try and make a Marvel conversation is a whole other thing, and I feel it, but it's there's a lot there.
Okay.
I have a big.
Who'd you like better, Thanos or this guy? Kang or Thanos? He who remains or Thanos? Thanos. Is it Thanos?
Thanos.
Is it Thanos?
Thanos. I mean, that's what I call him. I can't. It's probably more pronounced, a little stronger, but I prefer Thanos because it was a little more tangible to the universe that I know. I like the concept of like some big guy on a throne who's strong with the like, and he already had like some crazy strength as his species.
Yeah.
In the universe. And so the time, like that really powerful Time Lord thing, my problem always ends up being it's too powerful. And so what they do is they come up with really dumb reasons for him not to be super powerful, Like I really dislike it when a character is so clearly well more advanced or stronger in every way, shape, and form that they can't.
But they haven't even showed it yet.
I know, but they can't get past. He controls time.
I know, but he hasn't even.
You can't defeat.
He hasn't even
defeat
flexed
that.
yet.
And
That's
I
what I'm
hate
saying.
that they try to make. I know, but I hate that they even try to pretend like that can be. And here's the thing. All right, I'll get to the crux of any one of them. Every episode you have, anytime these movies continue, these Marvel series continue forever. If they don't ever have characters dying or have final lines where it's like it's done, you beat the bad guy. What is the next bad guy gonna be? I mean, it's like every time it's like it amps up and it's bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but
and you
that's
get to
the
the
whole
point where you
point
get
of it.
yeah, but then you get to Galactus, and then what? He
but
eats
that's how it
worlds.
works.
It's like what the fuck are we talking about?
That's how
like,
it is.
Yeah, but it's dumb.
They
It's
can't
like just
end
stop.
it.
Yeah.
What do you mean they stop? They can't stop.
They can stop because
Why would you stop it?
Because it's
It's
a
a studio.
story has been told. And I
Yeah,
understand.
but that's like stopping a comic. Why would you stop the comic if it's people like it?
Because you do another variation on it. It doesn't need to be a stronger one because you can't keep telling that story. It's going to end badly. Is all I have to say. Is because you keep going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and
But
bigger,
they haven't
and it
even
doesn't
told the
stop.
full story yet, because this is like leading up to this thing called Secret Wars, where like right now, Agents of Shields, or not Agents of Shield, Secret Wars just happened, and those are the Skrulls. You know the Skulls or whatever they're called, the green things with the ears in Captain Marvel. So they're basically around Earth, and Nick
Look,
Fury.
I don't know. Here's the thing. I don't know enough about the Marvel universe to talk that much on the lore of it. That's part of a big problem of it.
Yeah,
but
they're setting up this whole big thing.
I know
That's
what
what's
they're
happening.
saying. I mean, I get it. I know what they're
setting
setting
it
up,
up.
and
So they can't end
I
it.
enjoyed the way they've done it.
They
What I
can't
will
end
say
it.
is they can. They can. You
I
can
mean,
just
they
stop.
just set up Loki to be this like a time god.
No, you do the variant version, and you just continue, and the bad guys are just the same. They don't need to get more powerful. You can't keep upping it. You can't. It's just ridiculous. Stop. Just stop. Just write better. This is what I'll say. Write better. Write better stories, and don't be lazy. Don't be dumb, cheap, and lazy, and reuse stuff that you clearly hasn't been done. All these superhero movies, it's like the bad guy has to get better. Why? It's like quite often there is the internal struggle. You know, they do that with Iron Man. It's like his bad guys weren't necessarily any stronger than the next one. It's an internal struggle. That was the 1, 2, and 3. It was always him he got drunk and he was upset with himself and he was having this whole internal. That's a storyline you can do in this.
You don't.
You're
Like
gonna
big
fight
ones.
a guy.
You don't like.
I don't like that they go so big.
They
It just
had
gets
to,
too
though.
big. No,
That's,
they don't.
They had to go galactical
No.
and cosmic.
No, it's too big.
And that's what happened when, like, you know, when they were setting up some of the older Avengers. They were like, "What's next?" They left Earth. You know, everything. All the battles were on Earth in the early movies, and then Thor came. And then they started to go to space, and then Spider-Man went to space, and now it's galactical. It's a cosmic universe now. That's what's happening.
Yeah, but
it's
you
going to
can
become
still
Star
have
Wars.
and
They're going to eventually,
And you can
they're gonna
do that,
eventually
but
run
but
it.
they throw around words like gods, and it's like you can't.
Thor's
throw
a god.
Yeah, but
Loki's
he's not
a
a god. They're not gods.
He's the god of mischief.
No, they're not. They're not gods
Yeah,
at all.
he
No,
is.
they're not, because a god, in terms of what they're trying to portray, it's not a god if it's just a species from the universe. They're just people who live on another planet. That's not a god. The gods are what I consider a god is the guy who I saw at the end of like the time god, who was the one at the end of
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange, and it was like
Dormammu?
this, it was yeah, exactly. It's like a giant being. It's part of the universe almost. You know, it's like this. That's a god. Okay, that's a god. A character who can die, lives on a planet just over there in the universe. Is not a god.
that was
It's just
from-
a species.
That was old from Norse
I
mythology.
know,
and
but
stuff.
that's what's
Like
dumb.
Thor
They
is the god of
continue and they go,
thunder.
it's a god. It's not a god.
What?
You just
Thor's the god of thunder.
No.
Loki's the god of
It's like saying
mischief. Now he's the
Superman's a
god
god.
of
He's not.
time.
No, it's like Superman's a god. He's not. He's just
Is
from
he?
fucking. No, he's not. People would say he could be a god. Why isn't he? He's
Yeah,
just
but
as strong.
like Thor and Loki are gods. Odin's the god.
We're just disagreeing. It's not
Hercules
true.
is the god.
They're not. They're not gods. Gods are. If you're going to talk about it mythologically, they're not gods. They're just other species from
they're
other
Greek
planets.
gods, though.
You could say any one of them are a god. Then Thanos is a god. Why isn't Thanos a god?
Because that's not how he was written.
Well, I know, but you see, you're getting caught up in the lore. I'm getting caught up in the reality of the situation. You start exploring the universe, and all of a sudden, he
I don't
no
know.
longer matters.
Yo, tell us if they're gods or not. That's what I think.
Yeah. See, we're just gonna get
Agree to disagree.
We're going down a tangent of the entire Marvel thing. Like I said,
Yeah,
it's a
but that's
bigger
not even
conversation.
an opinion. They are a god according to the script and to the writing and
can't-
to everything.
All right, we're going to agree to disagree because otherwise it's just going to get in semantics. I do like see.
All right, what do you think about the ending of Loki, where
That's
he
what I'm saying.
became the god of time?
Okay, he became the god of time. Let's talk about that. This kind of ties into what I was just saying. All right, he became the god of time, and to see him sitting on a throne, and he's in this. He's outside of the universe. He's in time. He's
sure.
a god of time.
Yeah.
That's a god. That's where I go when I
that's
think of
where
a
he
god.
became.
No, but you were saying he was the god of mischief before. He wasn't even. He was just this fiddly bullshit fucking around in
what
the
he did.
universe. No,
That's why he was
You
the
can't
god of
tell me those
mischief.
two are the same thing. One who who's holding onto the strands of time, sitting on a throne all by himself in a layer behind the universe. That's a god. That's cool. The ending was cool. I thought their introduction to
I mean,
him
that's
being
just
the
your
god.
opinion.
It's not. I mean, it's just not my opinion. You can't be like this little place called Asgard that has all these people running around and they have cars and shit. They're not gods. He was a god. He transcended the universe and he went into time. He's a god. That's a god. That was badass.
Did you ever watch The Celestials?
No, I don't even know what that is. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like this shit gets too wild.
Oh, no,
There's too
the
many.
Eternals. The Eternals.
No, it sounds familiar.
They're the ones that are supposedly there. Yeah, we'll talk about the Eternals
Yeah,
another
I mean,
day.
I liked how they did it. I thought the very ending of him ascending into another universe to be a god, a proper god, as far as I'm concerned, was cool. It's a good tie to the end thing. Like I said, I started earlier. I enjoyed the ending on this. I did think it was
You
good.
liked it?
I liked the
Oh,
very ending.
I thought you were
think
gonna
the
laugh at the
whole-
ending.
No, I think the whole lead up to it is kind of weak compared to it because it's like this huge culmination and ending that really ties into the whole universe of the Marvel world. I think I think it's cool how they did. Yeah, I mean that's cool. That very ending. All that nonsense up
Interesting.
before, like I said, it was just about some flux capacitor and this like
Oh,
this
yeah.
engine part that's gonna
It
break.
dragged.
Like, I don't care.
It dragged for sure. It dragged a little bit. I actually thought the previous one was a little boring when they went back in time. Did you like that one? That was like a Back to the Future reference.
and
too.
see, and this is the thing that you'll notice now. Do you ever wonder why shows always have people go back in time? Because that's what they have a lot of costumes at the studios. So they always think about it. Star Trek. What did they always do? They always went back to medieval times or the westerns or.
Hey, I didn't think
that's what-
about that.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
It's because they got a
We
bunch of
gotta
these
reuse
costumes.
the
We got to
set-
reuse these costumes.
the costumes
Yeah,
from
because we can. It's sitting around and they
Deadwood.
reuse- yeah, yeah. So I always look at that as kind of cheesy, to be honest. But
Oh, I never thought about that. They could be reusing costumes from old sets.
that's all they are doing. That's 100% what they're doing.
Or old sets,
Yeah,
even,
it's
right?
just like I mean, obviously Marvel has a huge production budget, and they did very well with the whole '50s theme and all that sort of stuff. But a lot of those times when you go like, oh, we're back in time, it's always going to be some, it's just because they can reuse some stuff.
What'd you think about the editing?
It was all right. What I would say more so, the shots were long, and I think that was a direction. I think if we're going to talk about from the standpoint of the whole overall production, that's what it was. It was a lot of talking in season 2.
Really?
Yeah, a lot more talking. And
I
again,
gotta rewatch season 1 to give you I gotta rewatch season 1 basically.
yeah. I mean, what would you think of the directing and the editing?
I noticed that a lot of it felt like a Wes Anderson movie. Frame center, really.
Well, because it's like
compo-
themed almost like a Wes Anderson. You know what I mean? Like the whole 50.
The
it's
whole
like very
thing kind of feels a
yeah, it's
little
very
Wes
stylized.
Anderson to me. Yeah, stylized, and I thought it was just like what's the word? I don't know, I can't think of the word. It was good. I liked the. I didn't notice the editing, so to me, whenever I don't notice the editing, then I'm okay. Like when it's a bad edit, I notice it.
Yes,
because I'm an editor.
That's why I had no real
Like the
notes on it.
sound was perfect. Like all the
fine.
music
Yeah, it's
was
good
great.
production. The production is
was
good.
good. The music. I thought the music and the score wasn't distracting. A lot of times the score and the soundtracks nowadays can be super distracting from the story. I didn't notice it. So when I don't notice something like that and it doesn't stick out, I think it's a good. They did a good job. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd say overall the production quality. I don't think you're really going to be able to fault any of this stuff though. Like I haven't seen a lot of the other shows from Marvel, but I would
They're
imagine
all different directors though.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say is the production's not going to be bad. I think they're going to have the budget for the sets. They're going to have the budget for the post crew, the production crew. It's going to look nice. It's going to be edited. The music, maybe not it's the choices.
Yeah.
So when it comes to directing or music choices, that's where there might be a problem. Because otherwise, I think they got the money to pay for the best of the best, right? Obviously. So it's like there shouldn't. I've never even watched a Marvel movie and been like, "That's bad editing." I'm always like, "It's always direction." It's always, I didn't like that part of the storyline, or I thought that was too, and that comes down to the director. Honestly, it really does. I mean, even at the end of the day, you got to remember he signs off on the edit. So if the editor gives him something and it's really, and he's like, "That's good."
What about the CGI? Did that bother you? Any CGI stuff?
No, not in this one. I thought it was tastefully done, and that's probably why I liked it out of all the Marvel stuff.
Because the
they do
CGI
too
wasn't
much.
stupid, right?
It wasn't too much. It wasn't crazy. It wasn't out of control, and that's what I kind of enjoy about it.
Yeah, I think the set or whatever the art direction allowed them to be like subtle, except for, obviously when you're in like the
In a universe like
the
that,
multiverse,
you have to
it gets
accept
a little
it.
crazy and it gets too much. Sometimes I think that's the issue I have with some of the new Marvels. It's just too much timeline CGI. Like they're in the time multiverse and it's all just freaking branches and stuff, and it kind of looks stupid. It just looks whirly and and spaghetti like, and I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, that's
didn't
kind of
li-
its shtick. I mean,
I
that's
know,
what
but-
time has got. The branches, like that's the metaphor.
I wish there was a way to not be so like this, you know.
I mean, that's a tough call right there. Again, that's what the metaphor is. The time branches, time is, you know.
That's why I like the
weaves.
first Iron Man. It didn't feel like there was a lot of CGI, even though you can tell some of his suit was like CGI.
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah,
right?
it's great,
It felt
great.
Like
Season 2 got more CGI and got a little
Yeah.
more crazy, and 3
The
was
yep.
nonsense too. It's just like they should have stopped. I think they could have done Iron Man 1, and we would have been cool, great movie. End there. Legacy done. Best Iron Man ever.
Yeah, but you know, it didn't set up the whole.
I know, and then you
freaking-
don't have a bunch of money to be made, and you know, just literally crush a franchise into the ground because you make so many movies and TV shows off of it. Anyway, Loki was pretty cool. Yeah, I dug it.
There you go.
Would I give it I'd give it like a 6 or a 7
Out of a 10?
out of a 10. I think if I'm just going like out of some great stuff, you know, I take that back. Maybe a 5 or 6.
Wow.
Yeah. Out of great stuff, like great shows. I mean,
What's
I
a
can think
great
of
show?
way better
Give me a
shows.
great show.
The first True Detective, the first one was fucking fantastic. I liked the first season of Game of Thrones. Really good storytelling.
Those are
But they're good
nines. Those are
stories.
nines for you.
Yeah, they get more up in there. I'm sure there's something else I could
I'd probably
pick.
give it a 7.5. Yeah, maybe 7.5.
It was entertaining, but it was not groundbreaking in any way, and it wasn't. It didn't blow my socks off. I was entertained, and I watched it happily. So to me, that's at least that's the bar for 5. That's 5 and 6. Like you just passed it. You're like, cool. You got my attention. Anything under that, and I feel like you're in the territory of like I can barely watch it.
Okay, all right.
All right, so
The end.
Yeah, Loki. Go check it out on Disney Plus. Link in the description. No, we're just playing. We don't have any sponsors. We can. Yeah,
You know what to do.
yeah. Do that stuff. Thanks, guys.